Halfway through the afternoon, the sky darkens, and Brazil's Amazon region is due for one of its regular tropical downpours. The storms may last no more than half an hour, but within that short time, the land has been drenched with an enormous amount of rainfall. For many months in the year, the coming and going of tropical storms is a regular daily event. One of the largest areas of natural vegetation left in the world thrives in this hot and humid atmosphere. The tropical rainforest. Nearly half the world's tropical rainforest is in Brazil. It covers 3 million square kilometers of the country. That's over 20 times the size of England. Until recently, the only way into the Amazon region was by river, and the river banks were where most of the people lived. Away from the waterways was just a vast expanse of forest, a carpet of trees. About 10 years ago, Brazil launched a massive road-building program in the Amazon. It was part of a scheme, almost a dream, to open up the rainforest. It was predicted that 10 million people would come and settle along the new road, that the road would be bustling with traffic carrying new industrial and agricultural products. In the events, nothing as grand as that has happened. There have been some successes, but many failures too. The dream of setting up new developments in the forest didn't quite work out as planned. Today, the nearest things to bustling traffic are the roadside stops built 100 kilometers apart along the highway. The lorry drivers' big talking points are the problems of keeping their vehicles in shape, road conditions, and the distances they travel. Pedro Ferreira covers about 200,000 kilometers a year and knows well the problems of driving a lorry around the Amazon.
O problema é que a gente atola demais, quando chove é muito penoso. There are many problems here. When it rains a lot, the roads become very dangerous. Vehicles start skidding, and when the mud gets thick, your wheels won't hold the road. Drivers have a lot to put up with. It's not unusual for vehicles to get stuck for 20 or 30 days in the middle of nowhere. I've been driving in the Amazon for 4 years, and my worst experience was last year, when there was very heavy rain. On one trip, I got stranded so often that I spent a total of 46 days away from home. When the weather's dry, you get the problem of potholes and lots of dust. Acaba tudo, né? Porque de tanto bater em buraco, bate pra cima, bate pra lá, não ferrou. The lorry takes a lot of punishment. There are so many holes, it gets bashed about all over the place. My firm's lorries last about 10 years. They have a very strict maintenance program, but it costs a lot to keep them on the road. If a driver doesn't know what he's doing, a lorry won't even last for a year. Just ask around. There are lots of cases like that here.
As the road pushed deeper into the Amazon, the government started to open up land for agriculture. The idea was to offer peasant farmers a new home and a chance to make a new start in a pioneer area. The scheme, however, was badly organized, and the living conditions for most people today are a far cry from the new start they had expected. The number of settlers still living by the roadside is only a fraction of what was originally planned. This government house belongs to a couple who came from Rio Grande do Sul, in the south of Brazil, 4,000 kilometers away. A move they have regretted ever since.
Então, nós se dirigimos para cá.
We came here, when was it?
8 anos.
8 years ago.
Aí, nós vendemos tudo que tinha, botamos fora, né?
We sold up everything we had in order to move here.
9 cabeças de gado,
We had 9 head of cattle and 10 hectares of land.
hectares de terra.
We heard about this Amazon project on the radio. They said there'd be a house with land and services to help you.
Finally got the government house they live in now.
Quando fica?
What did they find when they first arrived?
Mata, só mata. E essa estrada transamazônica. Só.
Forest. Just forest. When we came here, there was nothing but forest. That was all. And the Trans-Amazon Road out there. There was no water, and we were thirsty when we arrived. After a few hours, we heard the sound of a spring. Thank God we managed to find the water.
Tem água, né? Ai, graças a Deus, conseguimos água, né? Mas nós tínhamos que comprar alimento.
When we needed to buy food, we had to ride on a government lorry to Itaituba, 150 kilometers away. We'd received some government money to buy the food. If it hadn't been for that, I think I myself would have died from hunger.
Ainda deu para quebrar um galho. Se não fosse possível, eu mesmo tinha morrido de fome. Tinha morrido de fome.
Have they ever had the chance to go back home during the 8 years they've spent in the Amazon?
Ainda não. Não tivemos tempo.
No, not yet.
Faz a pouco, não temos tempo.
We make so little that we don't have the means to go back home. The land here is so poor that you can't make any money. Me and my wife want to go back home to Rio Grande do Sul.
Nós podemos voltar para o emissor, né? Eu com minha esposa.
They still can't afford the bus fare home. 2 tickets would cost them £80. This house belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Netu. Their story is typical of many people from the Northeast now living in the Amazon.
O primeiro ano que eu saí de lá foi seco. Não choveu, eu perdi a roça todinha.
They told us they first left the Northeast when a drought killed off all their crops in 1951. Since then, they've lived in half a dozen different places trying to make a living before setting up home here in the Amazon.
Estava tudo em mato ainda. Só tinha essa estrada assim.
They said that when they arrived, all there was the forest and the road. They cleared the land themselves and built a small shed with an oven inside where they make flour from a vegetable they grow called manioc. I don't think the soil is very good, but with the manioc and rice as their basic diet, they can meet their everyday needs. A few years ago, their children's family joined them and built a house a short distance down the road. Now, they said, they were simply looking forward to spending the rest of their days here, close to their family. There are other activities in the forest that have proved more rewarding than farming. Some of the world's richest deposits of minerals have been discovered in the Amazon. This is a new mine that has opened up a deposit of high-quality bauxite, the raw material for making. It was discovered near the Trombetas River, well into the heart of the Amazon, over 1,000 kilometers from the coast. Every piece of equipment, from the smallest screw to the heaviest machine, had to be shipped in by river. The people who work here, as on any new project in the Amazon, come from all over Brazil. The high cost of setting up the mine and building homes for 3,000 people was paid for by one Brazilian company and 5 foreign firms. The great attraction to invest in the project was the money to be made. The mine will soon be producing 8 million tons of bauxite a year and could go on for at least 65 years. To get the bauxite from the mine to the nearest river, a 30-kilometer stretch of railway line had to be built through the rainforest. At present, the trains bring down 9,000 tons of bauxite a day from the mine to the unloading point near the river. The bauxite is taken to the river, where it's picked up and exported once a week by ship. About half the profits from this valuable discovery are taken by the foreign companies who put money into the project. The rest, a question of several million pounds a year, is taken by Brazil. The rainforest, once it's been cut down, never entirely grows back into its original state. But in the case of mining, a relatively small area of destruction brings in large amounts of money from minerals. The value of other developments we've seen is much more questionable. For long periods of time, the Trans-Amazon roads are empty of traffic. They were never properly finished anyway. It proved too expensive to surface them, and there are many weak links that will now never be made good. To maintain the road costs a fortune. Imagine the fuel bill alone for this repair work on the damage done by the heavy tropical rain. The biggest mistake, however, was to think that the forest could be turned into productive farmland. The fixed vegetation suggests that the soil is very fertile. But in fact, the rainforest vegetation is extremely fragile. Every plant, every raindrop, has a part to play in keeping the earth below fertile. Clearing the forest to make way for farmland destroys the vegetation that supplies the soil with the nutrients it needs. Once the trees have gone, the soil turns poor and crops grow badly. Huge areas of the forest have already been destroyed for agricultural schemes which have never paid off. In 50 years from now.